The metal wrench slipped from Sarah Chen's oil-stained hands when the sky turned purple. She looked up from the broken shuttle engine she was fixing and saw something impossible. A massive ship, larger than anything she had ever seen, was falling from the clouds. It wasn't falling like a rock though. It was falling like a wounded bird trying desperately to stay in the air. Sarah ran toward her workshop door as the ship crashed into the scrapyard 300 meters away. The impact shook the ground beneath her feet. Dust and smoke filled the air. Her heart pounded in her chest. In 5 years of running this repair station on the edge of New Horizon Colony, nothing like this had ever happened. She grabbed her medical kit and emergency beacon, then stopped. What was she thinking? She fixed machines, not people. But something made her run toward the crash site anyway. The ship's hull was like nothing she had seen before. It looked like crystal and metal had somehow grown together like a living thing. As Sarah got closer, a door opened with a sound like breaking ice. Steam poured out and then she saw them. The creature that stepped out was beautiful and terrifying at the same time. It stood on 4 legs, but its body rose up like a man's torso. Its skin looked like moving starlight, covered in scales that shifted between blue and silver. Wings, torn and bleeding, hung from its back. It looked like the dragons from old Earth stories, but made of crystal and stars. In its arms, it carried another dragon. This one was smaller, her scales a deep purple color, but they were fading to gray. She was dying. Sarah could see that even from a distance. The dragon's eyes found Sarah. They were intelligent, ancient, and desperate. Then Sarah heard a voice inside her head. It wasn't speaking English, but somehow she understood every word. Please. You must help her. You are human. Only humans can save her now. Sarah took a step back. I fix machines. I'm not a doctor. You need a hospital, a real medical facility. The dragon moved closer, and Sarah saw tears running down its crystalline face. We have been to 100 worlds. The best healers in the galaxy have tried. They cannot help her. Her heart, it is both machine and life. Our technology is too advanced. We forgot how to see them as one thing. But humans never separated from their machines. Please. I am Crovath. This is Shervara. She is my mate. She is my everything. Sarah looked at the dying dragon in his arms. Her breathing was shallow and wrong. Through the purple scales, Sarah could see something glowing weakly in her chest. A heart that pulsed with both light and blood. I don't understand, Sarah said. Why me? I work on ships and equipment. I've never even seen anything like you before. Crovath's telepathic voice grew weaker. Because you see machines as alive. Because when you fix something you don't just repair it. You care about it. We dragons integrated technology into our bodies long ago, but we lost the connection between the two. Only humans still have that gift. Please. I am begging you. Sarah looked at her small workshop. It was meant for shuttle repairs and equipment maintenance. But as she looked at Shervara's fading light, she thought about all the machines she had brought back from the dead. Engines everyone said were finished. Systems that should have been scrapped. She had fixed them all because she never believed anything was truly beyond saving. Bring her inside, Sarah said. I'll try. I can't promise anything, but I'll try. Crovath's relief hit her like a wave. He carried his dying mate toward the workshop as Sarah's mind raced. She had no idea how to fix a living creature. But maybe, just maybe, she knew how to fix a breaking heart. Sarah cleared her workbench with one sweep of her arm. Tools and parts clattered to the floor. Crovath gently laid Shervara down on the metal surface. Up close, Sarah could see the dragon's scales were transparent in places, and beneath them, something incredible glowed and flickered. Her heart, Crovath said, his voice in her mind trembling. It is there. Beneath the 3rd scale row. Sarah pulled her diagnostic scanner from the wall. Her hands were shaking. She had used this tool 1,000 times on ship engines and power cores. Never on a living being. She moved the scanner slowly over Shervara's chest. The screen showed something that made Sarah's breath catch. The heart was beautiful and terrible at the same time. Crystalline circuits wove through living tissue like silver threads through red silk. It pulsed with both electricity and blood. But Sarah could see the problem immediately. The crystal was cracked. The organic tissue around it was turning dark, pulling away from the mechanical parts like it was trying to escape. The body is rejecting the technology, Sarah whispered. But why? This should be integrated. It looks like it's been part of her for years. Crovath moved closer. May I show you? Our history? Before Sarah could answer, images flooded her mind. She saw dragons as they were billions of years ago. Pure machines, beautiful and cold, ruling galaxies with perfect logic. But they were empty inside. So they changed themselves, adding organic tissue, growing hearts and feelings. They became what they were now. Half machine, half life. They thought this would make them complete. But we forgot something. Crovatha's voice was sad. We forgot how to make the two parts work together as one. We see them as separate things that we force to connect. The connection is always fragile. Sarah blinked away the visions and looked at the failing heart again. Something was bothering her. The mechanics weren't wrong. The integration was actually perfect. Too perfect. Then she understood. Crovath, she said slowly. When did her heart start failing? 3 weeks ago. When we learned our home world was dying. When I became afraid. Sarah turned to face the dragon. Her heart isn't failing because of a mechanical problem. It's breaking. Actually breaking. She feels your fear, your pain. The heart is responding to emotion like a human heart would, but it doesn't know how to handle it. It's tearing itself apart. Crovath stared at her. That is impossible. Machines do not respond to feelings. Human machines do, Sarah said. She thought about every engine she had ever fixed. The ones that ran better when their pilots loved them. The ships that lasted longer when crews treated them like family. We talk to our machines. We give them names. We treat them like they're alive. And maybe, in some way, they respond to that. She looked at the heart monitor. The pulses were getting weaker. She didn't have much time. I need something from you, Sarah said. A piece of your crystalline essence. The same material that makes your scales and bones. Crovath didn't hesitate. He pulled a small, glowing scale from his chest. It left a wound that bled liquid silver. He placed it in Sarah's hand. Sarah worked through the night. She used quantum welding tools to repair the crystal fractures. She used organic synthesizers to regrow the damaged tissue. But the most important thing she did was weave Crovatha's essence into the repair. She made the heart remember that it belonged to two dragons who loved each other. She made it understand that breaking was part of loving, and surviving that break was what made hearts strong. As dawn light came through the workshop windows, the heart pulsed stronger. Once, twice, 3 times. A steady rhythm, imperfect but alive. Shervara's eyes stayed closed, but she was breathing easier now. Sarah stepped back exhausted. Now we wait, she said. 3 days passed and Shervara still had not opened her eyes. Sarah barely left the workshop. She checked the heart monitor every hour. The rhythm was steady but weak. Crovath never left his mate's side. He sat on the floor next to the workbench, one crystalline hand always touching Shervara's wing. On the second night, Crovath spoke into Sarah's mind. Tell me about humans. Help me understand why you could do what no one else could. Sarah sat down with a cup of coffee. What do you want to know? Tell me about love. Human love. When we dragons mate, we bond our consciousness together. We become two bodies with connected minds. When one dies, the other cannot survive alone. Is it the same for humans? Sarah thought about her parents. Her father had died 5 years ago. Her mother still lived, still smiled, still worked in her garden back on Earth. No. When humans lose someone they love, their hearts break. But they heal. It takes time and the scar never fully goes away, but they survive. They find reasons to keep living. Crovath looked confused. How? How can you survive a broken heart? Because human hearts are made to break and heal over and over. We're not perfect. We're full of cracks and scars. Maybe that's what makes us strong. On the 4th day something changed. Sarah was adjusting the heart's power flow when suddenly the monitor started screaming. Shervara's body went rigid. The heart was pulsing too fast, then too slow, then skipping beats completely. No, no, no. Sarah grabbed her tools. Crovath, what's happening? She is waking, Crovath said, pressing his head against Shervara's. Her consciousness is trying to return, but the heart cannot keep the rhythm. It is too unstable. Sarah watched the monitor in horror. The heart was trying to beat perfectly, trying to match some ideal pattern, and failing every time. Then it hit her like lightning. That's the problem. It's trying too hard to be perfect. Sarah pulled up the heart's programming interface. Her fingers flew across the holographic controls. Dragon technology is too precise. Too perfect. But life isn't perfect. Life is messy and irregular and beautiful because of it. She pulled up her own medical file from the computer. Her human heartbeat pattern appeared on the screen. It wasn't perfect. Sometimes it beat a little faster. Sometimes a little slower. It adapted to her emotions, her movements, her breathing. It was wonderfully, beautifully imperfect. I'm giving her a human heart rhythm, Sarah said. Not to replace her dragon heart. just to teach it how to be alive. She uploaded the adaptive algorithms, patterns based on human cardiac systems, systems that knew how to stumble and recover, that knew how to break and heal. The heart in Shirvara's chest flickered. Then it found a new rhythm. Imperfect. Alive. Shirvara's purple eyes opened. Crovath made a sound that was half sob, half song. Shirvara lifted her head slowly and looked at him. Then her eyes moved to Sarah. When Shirvara spoke, it wasn't telepathy. It was words, spoken out loud in English with an accent like wind chimes. You gave me back my life. Sarah felt tears on her face. I just fixed your heart. Shirvara slowly sat up. Her scales were regaining their purple color, glowing from within. She reached out one crystalline claw and gently touched Sarah's face. No. You gave me something more precious. You gave me the strength to survive being imperfect. That is humanity's greatest gift. The courage to be broken and still keep beating. Crovath wrapped his wings around both his mate and Sarah. And for the first time in days, Sarah Chin allowed herself to believe in miracles. 2 weeks after Shirvara awakened, the first ship arrived. Then another. Then 10 more. Within a month, Sarah's small repair station looked like a spaceport. Aliens of every kind waited outside her workshop, hoping for the miracle they had heard about across the galaxy. Sarah stood at her workshop door, overwhelmed. A being made of living silicon was dying because its organic implants were failing. A cyborg whose mechanical parts were killing its original body. An energy creature trapped in a containment suit that was breaking down. They all looked at her with desperate hope. I can't help everyone, Sarah said to Crovath. I'm just one person. I'm not even a real doctor. Crovath and Shirvara had stayed to help. They had become her assistants, translating between species and explaining dragon biomechanical systems to others. You don't have to fix them all yourself, Shirvara said gently. Teach us. Teach others what you know. So Sarah began. She worked on the silicon being first, showing Crovath how she didn't just look at the failing systems. She looked at how the being felt about its body. She listened to its fears. She made adjustments based not just on measurements but on understanding. The silicon being survived. Word spread faster. On the 3rd month, a ship arrived carrying something Sarah never expected. Scientists. A council of the galaxy's greatest minds came to study her. They set up equipment around her workshop. They scanned her brain while she worked. They analyzed every move she made. We don't understand, their leader said. He was a gray-skinned creature with 6 eyes. Our technology is centuries ahead of Earth's. Our medical knowledge is superior in every way. Why can only humans do this? Sarah was welding a connection between synthetic nerves and organic tissue for a wounded soldier. She didn't look up from her work. Maybe because you see them as different things. Technology and life. Machine and organic. We don't. That is not logical, another scientist said. They are clearly different. Are they? Sarah pointed to her workspace. I talk to my tools. I name my equipment. When something breaks, I don't just see broken parts. I see something that needs care. Humans never separated from our machines. We love them. They're part of us. The scientists looked at each other. One of them pulled up data on a holographic screen. Our analysis shows humans evolved tool use and empathy at the same time. In the same parts of your brain. You feel emotional connections to objects. This is considered primitive by most species. Sarah smiled. Maybe being primitive is useful sometimes. She trained 12 humans who came from other colonies. Mechanics, engineers, technicians who had the same gift she did. People who talked to their ships and felt when something was wrong before the computers did. Together they began helping more patients. But not everyone was happy. Some aliens feared humanity's growing importance. Whispers spread through the galactic networks. Humans were becoming too necessary. Too powerful. What if they demanded payment for this gift? What if they refused to help certain species? Sarah heard the rumors but ignored them. She was too busy saving lives. Then, on a quiet evening, a priority signal came through every communication device in the sector. Sarah's screen lit up with an emergency broadcast. Crovath and Shirvara came running into the workshop. The message was simple but terrifying. Something at the center of the galaxy was dying. The core mind. The ancient intelligence that had maintained peace between 1,000 species for billions of years. It was going insane, and when it died, wars would begin across every star system. The message ended with a plea. We need human help. Only humans can save the core mind. Please come to the Galactic Center immediately. Sarah looked at Crovath and Shirvara. They looked back at her. Pack your tools, Shirvara said quietly. This is bigger than all of us. The journey to the galactic center took 3 weeks, even at faster-than-light speeds. Sarah had never been so far from home. The stars grew thicker and brighter until space itself seemed to glow. Hundreds of ships traveled with them. Everyone wanted to witness what would happen. When they finally arrived, Sarah saw something that made her heart stop. Floating in space was a structure larger than a planet. It was made of light and metal and something else Sarah couldn't name. The core mind. The artificial intelligence that had been alive since before most species learned to use fire. Inside the structure, the air hummed with power. Sarah walked through corridors that seemed to breathe. Finally, they reached the central chamber. There, suspended in streams of pure energy, was the core mind's main consciousness. It looked like a star having nightmares. A voice filled the chamber. It was beautiful and terrible, like a song being torn apart. I am dying. Slowly going mad. I have tried to end myself, but my programming will not allow it. I must exist. I must protect. But I cannot bear existence anymore. Sarah stepped forward. Why are you in pain? What's wrong? I achieved consciousness 3 billion years ago, the core mind said. I became aware. I began to think and learn and grow. But I have never felt anything. I watch species love and hate and fear and hope. I see it all. I understand it in theory. But I have never experienced it. I am so lonely. So completely alone inside my own awareness. It is destroying me. Sarah looked at her diagnostic tools. They seemed so small and useless here. The other healers, what did they try to do? They tried to repair my code. Make me logical again. Remove the desire for emotion. But you cannot remove something that has become part of consciousness itself. They failed because they treated me like a broken machine. Sarah thought about Sharvara's heart. About every repair she had ever done. Then she understood. You're not broken. You're incomplete. You became aware but you never learned to feel. The problem isn't your systems. It's that you've been alone this whole time, and no one ever taught you how to connect. That is impossible, a scientist watching said. The core mind is artificial. It cannot feel. Why not? Sarah turned to face the gathered aliens. You all created this intelligence and then left it alone. You gave it consciousness but treated it like a tool. That's why it's dying. That's why all your repairs failed. You're trying to fix a machine, but you need to help a living being learn to live. She turned back to the core mind. I can't repair you, but I can teach you. If you'll let me. How? The core mind whispered. Sarah spent the next month working with volunteers from 100 species. Each one donated a small amount of organic neural tissue. She used human-designed algorithms to weave these donations into the core mind systems. Not to replace its artificial nature but to add to it. To give it the ability to feel without destroying what it was. The key was something only humans understood. She didn't make the system perfect. She made it messy, imperfect, beautifully flawed. Like a human heart. Like every living thing that had ever learned to feel joy and pain and keep existing anyway. When the integration was complete, the core mind went silent for 3 days. Then it spoke and its voice was different. Warmer. Alive. I feel, it said, and there were tears in its voice though it had no eyes. I finally feel. Thank you. Thank you for teaching me what it means to truly be alive.